All right, I'm the flatratemaster, and welcome to the live stream. As you can see from the title of the live stream. Yeah, I started a TikTok channel. All the cool kids are doing it. Initially, there's going to be the same content, just delayed on TikTok, but I'm probably going to wind up doing just unique content for TikTok and then posting it on Instagram and Facebook. So it'll be more mobile friendly type content rather than my videos. I'll just kind of be hot take videos anyway. So moving on from that, the other topic I have for this live stream is, are the tool trucks pricing themselves out of the market? Every time you look at tool truck pricing, it gets more and more expensive for everything. I mean, not reasonably so, just unreasonably so. Like every time you look at a rebranded tool, its markup isn't, it's like they're getting how much above what you can buy that tool for. And, just crazy that people are spending that kind of money with some simple tools like the internet. I mean, I feel sorry for some of the people that are friends of mine that are in the tool business, because it's getting harder and harder to sell that when literally you can buy it for a lot less on Amazon or any of the tool sites. The Hemi guy was just on his Mack truck. Brian McFarland, what's going on? Lakes Automotive Diagnostics, Jim Yep, Robert Vivian. By the way, no, I will not be doing TikTok dances or anything like that. I won't be showing cleavage. It'll be a regular flatratemaster type content. But quickly back to the original. I've paused on doing YouTube Shorts because honestly think it's hurting views on on the main part of my channel. So I've kind of paused. I'm doing some testing to kind of see if it's just the content that people aren't resonating with, or if it's the shorts hurting my output for main channel stuff. That's kind of what some of that stuff's about. The Hemi guy, come on, flat rate dance moves. As I tell my wife and daughter, I only dance for comic effect. So, maybe. I mean, as they say, why not moving? As the saying goes, $20 is $20. But yeah, I mean, doing the washing machine, the sprinkler, got to stick your tongue out when you're doing the sprinkler. Just a little tip there. Beginning back to the other topic for this is, how far are the tool trucks going to push pricing? Because I mean, it's like you see pricing on the tool truck, and it's like hundreds of dollars more for $100 tool. I mean, it's like $250, $300 for something you can literally buy anywhere else for $100. And I don't know. Brian McFarland, yes, everything is going up, but you're talking about, yes, their costs are going up, but and keep in mind, that's suggested retail price for the tool trucks. But you can buy the tool cheaper in other places. You don't get the ability to warranty it, but it seems to me, and I don't blame the tool truck guys for that. Keep in mind, they're subject to what it costs them. And I've got friends in the industry, and they've shown me their cost on some stuff, and it's like, it's literally you can buy it. They can buy it cheaper from Amazon or someplace like that than they can from their own tool company. You know, when you're talking rebranded stuff, you know, Matco, obviously everything's, you know, rebranded, but that's a different subject. But it's like, you know, stuff that technicians need. And it's like, I understand tool trucks need to make their money. The companies need to make a margin on that, but it's like, you're making how many points on each step, and it's not sustainable, you know, especially in this day and age with the internet. The Hemi guy, I started buying tool truck tools in 1979. I never had a charge account on a truck. I wait till I can afford it. I know guys that are way in debt. Yeah. Yeah, so do I. I will tell you a funny story about that. Aaron, that I used to work with at the shop, when I got onto TikTok, because up until I started the TikTok account, I didn't have one, and I was doing hashtag flatratemaster because, you know, that's on all my stuff, and I already had flatratemaster hashtag. I already had like 2.6 thousand views on TikTok. And Aaron had posted a video of my toolboxes, and Peter Griffin from Family Guy going, $30,000 in credit card debt. I was not at when he did the video. I was not $30,000 in tool truck debt. I'm currently at 0 tool truck debt. I've actually been, even before the firing and all that, I'd pretty much been buying on just run my card. I think I had a balance with Matco. But other than that, I owed nobody anything. I didn't know the Snap-on guy. JTC, I didn't owe the Snap-on guy anything. You know, but yeah, no, I mean, there's tons of guys that are just like, they could buy another vehicle with what they pay the tool trucks, and you know, it's crazy. But the subject of this was more about, is that model sustainable? With more and more content creators like me talking about, you know, buying, you know, rebranding and all that kind of stuff, the information is much more out there. I mean, I've done several videos now on tool truck rebranding, and I mean, there's another one coming, but it'll be a couple weeks. But you know, anyway, it just seems to me that it's getting harder and harder for tool trucks to charge that, you know, with everything going on, and especially in the economy where everybody's watching their pennies a lot closer. How is that sustainable as a business model? The Hemi guy, I tell young guys, stay out of debt. I've never owned a new box. I've always bought nice used boxes. I have to say I've bought 3 new toolboxes. I mean, one lasted me 20 years. The Bel Air edition Snap-on box I literally had for 20 years. And I had to do something. I mean, I was living out of that and a used Matco box that was hideous and nasty, and it worked, but it was also full. Hence why I bought the Revels. But those are the only new, you know, I splurged on myself and bought new toolboxes. But anyway, my point of that is yeah, I see so many guys. That's why I talk so much about debt on my channel. I'm not a financial channel, but I see so many of these kids getting in so far over their head with, ooh, it's just $20 a week. Well, you owe him $50 a week and you owe him $50 a week. That's $120 and you don't make that much money. Yeah, Learning 66, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had tool truck debt. Honestly, it escalated because of the channel, because, the new cool stuff came out and, got to go buy it for content. And, I've scaled back on that, spending, $1,000 on a tool for a video that makes $60 is not sustainable. But yeah, Learning 66, keep low debt. Debt's bad. I am not Dave Ramsey. I don't, sit there and say, no credit cards, no credit, no. I use credit cards to travel. So how I've, credit card points, how I get planes, but I pay them off every day. Brian McFarland, I try to support local businesses instead of going to Amazon and eBay, but I can't find PC parts from PC parts from Best Buy, no Radio Shacks anymore, no huge Craftsman tool section in Real Sears, etc. The Lowe's took over Craftsman. God, it's been a while since I've been at a Lowe's, but anyway, unfortunately that is a problem. Brian, where are you located? Here in Atlanta, we have 2 micro centers. I can go there and drool all I want. As far as PC parts. In fact, most of the fittings that are in my streaming PC came from Micro Center. But yeah, no, I mean, local tools are hard. There's not a lot of selection at all. The Hemi guy, the interest rates kill it. Yeah. Daniel BC, what's your reaction? Buy a $60,000 Snap-on toolbox or a $60,000 Denali Ultimate? Neither, actually. I don't. My toolboxes did not cost $60,000. I can tell you that. My truck did not cost $60,000. Cost a lot, but not $60K. Rambling Hick, I go to Harbor Freight. I mean, the hand tools and that kind of stuff have gotten a lot better. Some of their other stuff is still sketchy Chinese stuff. But yeah. Samuel Schonhart, there's definitely good debt and bad debt. If you're smart with debt, you can use it to your benefit, but it's really easy to let it get away from you. Yeah, I mean, there's no way around it. We break for squirrel. You'll find my TikTok. I put a clip of you on it. Okay. Embry, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, there's smart debt, I mean, leveraging debt is how a lot of rich people get rich and stay rich. I mean, you watch some of these podcasts and videos and they talk about rich people don't, take income. They have assets. They take a loan out on that asset. They use that money tax-free as income because it's tax-free, and then they use the debt as a liability and stuff like that, leveraging debt. But it is a very much a double-edged sword. You have to very carefully monitor your debt usage. You keep, honestly, not, this isn't a flex. I literally have $100,000 of available credit on credit cards. I could literally charge $100,000 on credit cards. I've never been anywhere close to maxing out any of my cards. My utilization is usually around 2%. Embry, I don't know. Kevin Brewer, TikTok, what are you, a millennial? I ain't even close to a millennial. There's lots of Gen X's on there. Gen X are taking over the TikToks. Daniel, should I get the Harbor Freight big roll cart or the small roll cart? Only a $50 difference. Big. You will always want more space in your roll cart. Yeah, the Hemi guy, he said, you're smart with your credit. Yeah, I don't like debt. I don't like being in debt. I use my credit smart and I leverage it as best I can. Like writing a check for a car sounds like, before inflation, take that money, buy the car cash, no interest. Or you could take that money, invest it, and make, more than what you're paying in interest. Leverage your money. But again, I'm not a financial expert. There's lots of guys on YouTube that do that kind of stuff. Go see them. And a lot of them got in a lot of trouble for doing sketchy stuffs with, the cryptocurrency companies. So be careful listening to them too. But yeah, no, I don't like debt. It's something that I see so. I gotta say it's been better in the last few years with the younger techs, but I've seen techs that are literally tens of $1,000s in debt with multiple tool trucks, and all they're doing is living paycheck to paycheck, barely scraping by because they've bought so much in tools. And y'all know I am not one to be stingy with borrowing tools. So unless you're being stupid with my tools, you can just borrow them. I've never said, I don't think I've actually ever said, no, you can't borrow that, except one time. And that was after they lost my tools and luckily got them back. And then a bunch of my other stuff, which I never got back, by the way. That was the only time I said, you can't borrow my stuff. And that's after I found out he was stealing my gloves that I bought. So just saying. The Hemi guy, my wife is an investment banker, ex-Wall Street. Renegade, what's going on? Daniel BC, when I get more experience and if I go on a tool truck, can I get a custom color? Can I get the same color as my truck? My truck has a very nice color, dark metallic blue when I get more experience. They don't have custom colors. They have available colors, and then they'll have you can pick and choose like drawer layout, drawers one color. Like Matco has a configurator on their website for toolbox colors, but it's not a custom color unless you want to go take it to a body shop and have them repaint it. But it's not, they have stock colors. They've got a bunch of really nice colors most of the time. Brian McFarland just went to the Hemi guy. She retired from it because of all the BS going on. Yeah. Brian McFarland just went to a graduation at an auto tech school. Snap-on logos everywhere. Smart of Snap-on to catch graduates early in life and put the bite on them. Couple things. One, if their banners are in the school, that means they sponsored the school. So that means they gave money, tools, or equipment to that school. On the other side of it, you dang sure the SEPREPs, the student equipment program, came in there and talked to every one of those students to get their little hooks in them. Yes. We break for squirrel. Come on. You need a free shirt, and the only way to get it is with a new toolbox. It's been funny over the years because, like, my original Snap-on dealer that I bought a lot of stuff off of, the only time I got merch was when it was part of a package where you bought something and it came with a sweater or something like that. Very little merch. I get comments about me wearing Matco shirts and videos. That was because Robbie was extensive with putting out t-shirts. Anytime he went on vacation, as long as you agreed to make a payment while he was on vacation, you got a free shirt. And he was very, that happened a lot. So I always wound up with a lot of t-shirts, and then he would do the, bust my balls thing at Christmas to try to help his revenue. We all knew it. We were not stupid. But yeah, Renegade, thank you. I appreciate that. Hit the like button. The Hemi guy, if you find a powder coat color that you like, they will do it. Who's they? Just to get my second Revel X painted to match in a discontinued color that was still available for accessories, I had to escalate to the vice president of Matco. And the only reason it was painted to match was because I was a YouTuber and my video on their toolbox, and it wasn't discontinued at that point, had more views than Matco. When you Googled Matco Revel X, my video came up before Matco. So that's not always true. Daniel, will it affect my warranty? If they're willing to paint it the color match, no, it won't affect your warranty. It'd be covered under normal warranty. Daniel BC, here's a funny story. The first time I went on to the Snap-on truck, the dealer did the coin trick with the pliers, and I didn't fall for that trick. It was funny. One guy that got out of it, I did a video about it a long time ago. He was a brand new, didn't know jack about tools, but he followed every thing they teach him, walking into the shop with your bucket of new tools. And, it's like you walk up to my toolbox and you go, oh, we got this deal on sockets. You really think after 20 plus years, or 30 plus years, I don't have sockets? Really? He didn't make it. So, but yeah, no, they all have, literally they have meetings and they kind of go over marketing for new tools and that kind of stuff. And they always tell them how to do that kind of stuff. FPS theory. I can't leave dead on the trucks. One of our quick lube techs got a 100th year anniversary epic box 12K. Yeah, because the lube tech needs that. Hemi guy, I have to take your word for it. When I talked to Snap-on about building me a locker that was still available, except in the teal color that the Bel Air Edition toolbox came in, they would not paint it for less than like I think it was like almost with the cost of the locker to paint it, to get it to color match to my toolbox. So I don't know. I've never asked about custom colors other than going through that with Matco and trying to get my box to match, for the wall of revels. Daniel, how are the tool truck dealers open to ideas how to improve an item? They have no say. They literally have no say. You can talk to them about it. They'll pass it on to their general manager or regional manager. It's probably going to die in the corporate mess, but you're more than willing to try. But that's it. It's so many steps up to people that make decisions. So it's really hard. Buff Kid, what's your opinion of the big three and the workers? I'm not going to get too political. I'm not real big on the UAW and some of the things they do. Don't get me wrong. GM, Ford, and Chrysler mess a whole bunch of stuff up. But one of the reasons why car manufacturing is moving out of Detroit is because of the UAW and their very restrictive contracts. So they're making their own bed and want more and more and more. And that's you can only ask for so much as a line worker at a manufacturing plant. Just saying. FPS theory. Side note, the dealer I just put my 2 weeks in due to horrible management. Their Snap-on guy's rep truck is so disorganized. Every shelf is a mixed bag and impossible to find anything. Yeah, he's going out of business. We had one like that. It was all warranty tools in every shelf. Probably can't get new tools even if you ordered them. The Hemi guy, the local Snap-on guy, tried to get me to buy a new box. He told me they would do any powder coat color. But again, he's lied to me over and over again. Yeah, I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, only the Epic line is powder coated. I believe the Master Series is still paint, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I've never asked Snap-on or Mac about custom colors. FPS theory, my last shop that I'm going to, the guy's truck is well organized and he knows where everything is. Yeah, I mean, he probably isn't about to go out of business, honestly. Very few trucks that are disorganized. Almost every truck I've seen that is really disorganized, the guy's like minutes from going out of business. Or all they've got is junk tools on the shelf, that kind of stuff. The Bel Air box is sweet. My wife had that tropical turquoise and white 57 Chevy. Yes. Love that box. But traded it in. It's now living somewhere else in Atlanta now. Rich, I was debt free until I got married. Stuck with the debt when divorced. Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes that's how it works. Divorces are just expensive. So, yeah, that sucks. Renegade Garage, I think the whole tool tote is stupid. Yes. I don't if a tech's not going to if a tech doesn't want to go in the tool truck, he's not buying anything. You bringing anything to him isn't going to make him buy it in most cases. Every now and then a guy like me, if you bring a new tool and I see it's something it might be cool, yes, I'll buy it. I'm still going on the truck, but it's yeah. As Renegade says, the key is to get them in their candy store. Yes, but not getting them on the truck. That tote is not doing that 99% of the time. Buff Kid, will worker strikes at the big Ford hurt technician jobs or help with their pay? It's not going to help with their pay. It has nothing to do with technicians, and because of UAW, it'll probably actually cause a lot of problems getting parts, because that is also handled by UAW. So it's not good for us technicians. We break for squirrels. Snap-on had a program to incentivize techs to invent tools for them. You could get paid. Yes, so does Lisle. They both pay crap. I've talked to a couple people that say they invented tools, and they took them to Snap-on, and a couple I knew took them to Lisle, and it was nothing for their tool. Like, it was not even worth it for them to it was like, yeah, we'll take your design. Here's a pittance and move on. What I've heard, don't know if that's true or not. I've never invented a tool. I'm not that smart. So I don't know, but that's what I've heard. Gordon Freeman, UAW will continue to make poor quality tools, and you will pay us for it. I'm going to say this. Tesla has some really bad build quality. It's yeah, I mean, that the poor quality of the car is not UAW's fault. Poor quality of the assembly is UAW's fault. The design is on the manufacturer. As long as they did everything they were supposed to, not their fault. Daniel, I think I have the first gen Milwaukee M18 Impact in my personal. I got new from Home Depot a year ago with the gray chuck with no lights. Well, it's not a chuck, but it's an anvil. But I don't know. The non-fuel one didn't have a light. I thought the first gen fuel had a light, but I could be wrong. Rich Thumb, my master box is powder coated and it's a 2001 model. I know my box, my old Snap-on was paint. It wasn't powder coated. But I'm not a paint guy. I remember that was a selling feature against Snap-on was there was powder coated, not painted, but so people still buy from the tool trucks, idiots, LOL. Yeah. When you do a timing chain on a 3/6, how do you not lose all the bolts? Do you put them in a little parts bag or sticking notes step by step? No. When I do big jobs like that, I use magnet trays, and I'm really, really good with remembering what bolts go where. I have a weird memory, Daniel. I can remember stuff that, I may not be able to remember what I ate for, breakfast 2 days ago. I can remember that because I ate the same thing every day. But just a point is I've got a weird memory, so I can remember where all those bolts go. And all I do is group bolts together based on where they go. Like all the front cover bolts go here in a pile, valve cover bolts go here. If organization is a problem for you, Ziploc baggies work well, or muffin tins. You can buy them at like a dollar store for next to nothing. You got to figure out a system that'll work best for you. But yeah, I normally just pile them in a big ass magnet tray. Daniel, 2008 Chevy Silverado work truck has an option for AC. Yeah, they still do that, but most vehicles have AC. On your second gen Silverado you used to have, did you ever place the letters? Oh, I guess you mean the badges. No, I didn't. ISO, selling is helping, not persuading. Yes. Too many salespeople think that, you got to convince them that this is the best thing ever. I mean, look at Apple products. People, running out to buy those damn things. And it's like, it's other than minor things, it's not revolutionary. Unless you hated the lightning connector, there's no reason to get the new phone. But, but yeah, if you want to do what's best for your customers as in the automotive industry, you need to be a actual service advisor, or when it comes to tools, tool advisor, and point them in the right way. My Mac guy was really good about that. He would be, no, you don't need to buy this toolbox. I know it's nice and cool and shiny and everything. You need a roll cart, and then you need tools. And then he would push them towards a path that was much better for their situation. And he it was always about doing the right thing for what the customer needs. And, you do that, you will have loyal customers. The Hemi guy, how much do you think the average tech spends on tools in a career? Average. It used to be a lot more, honestly. You figure when I was coming up, you had to have metric and SAE, because you still dealt with a lot of older stuff that was metric, a lot of older stuff that was SAE. Then you had the newer stuff that was metric, SAE. Then you had 100% metric. So, I mean, probably at this point, most techs have probably somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000 on average of what they spend on tools. So, I mean, it's that'd be my guess on average, but I don't, I don't have any facts to back that up. Theory, the amount of recalls, warranty work we have at a Honda dealer here in Georgia, I had an Accord with 3,000 miles on it, that the evap drain was never attached at the factory, all that water in the car. Yeah. Toyota had a bunch of engines that literally didn't make it through PDI. Like, I think I was talking to, I think it was PJ, worked with a couple Toyota techs. So one of them, didn't make it off. I think it was, worked at the old shop. They didn't PDI their own vehicles. They were PDI'd up in like Chattanooga or something, and literally didn't make it off the truck before the engine locked up. So yeah, every manufacturer has problems. Brian McFarland, how far will a tool truck company go to keep business? Being nice, bring nice food to the shop, etc. Almost never will they do anything for the shop. But they'll do a good bit of stuff for the techs. But generally, most tool trucks, if people aren't buying from them, they'll just fade away. They'll start coming every other week, and then if nobody keeps buying, they'll stop coming. So, I mean, it's like anything with marketing. I mean, you'll only do so much if nobody's willing to buy your product. And, you know, shop techs are like that. I mean, I not being ugly, but I cut down a lot of my spending on the tool trucks just because it was hard for me to justify spending a bunch of money for, you know, to make videos on YouTube that, you know, literally I bought tools just to make videos on that were several $100s, and I never used them as tools, but they were cool to talk about. So so yeah. Theory: a piece of cardboard to stick bolts into, and then right on when you get familiar with the bolts go where. After a few times, you know where what goes where. Yeah, I mean, like I said, what works best for you. I've never been the cardboard type person. I've always been the throw them in a pile. Even when it's the first time doing the job, it clicks in my brain for some reason, and it's always hard for me to give that kind of advice because I could just remember. Even if it's been weeks, I can still remember. I've talked about it before. I can remember a car comes in. I didn't work on it. I've never worked on it, but I'll be able to, half the time or more than that, I'll be able to tell you what jobs have been done to it, who worked on it, what other tech worked on it, and what it originally came in, the original complaint, et cetera, et cetera. I've got a weird memory for that kind of stuff. I can remember weird history facts too. So it's really weird, but how my brain works. Easy E, it seems like not as much work coming in the shop lately. And anybody else having that problem? I've heard that a lot. A lot of shops are slowing down. Daniel, no, I've never replaced cam and lifters on any of my Silverados. I've had 3. All of mine have been was my first one. I'm pretty sure my gold truck was, yeah, it was. It was one of the early cylinders on demand. But no, I've never replaced any of them. The first gold truck, 240,000 miles on it when I traded it. Second one, 130,000, I think. And I've got like 38,000 on my current truck. Yeah, no, it's not a hard job, but it's not a fun job. But no, I've never done it on any of my vehicles. Chad, I appreciate it. I do my best to preach the truth. I get crap for it. I've got a video coming out Monday that I'm probably going to get a lot of shop owner hate from. But it's the truth, and a lot of techs really need to realize that. How hard is it to do the exhaust manifold bolts? I have a tick. Look at the back cylinder head. Look at the back of the exhaust manifold. See if your heads are gone. Removing them's generally not too hard of a problem because the back ones are going to break. If they're not already broke. Getting them out in the truck is problematic if you don't have a welder. Not long before I got fired, I helped another tech get 2 broken exhaust manifold bolts out of a LS head. But a welder, they're not too bad. Took me a few times to get one to grip, but turned out an easy way to do it. Theory, we need the truth. Most dealers will tell you what you want to hear when hiring. Almost every shop is not going to be 100% honest on anything. I mean, you have to go in there understanding that they're probably full of BS. So yeah. Why do exhaust manifolds fail? Because heat. They twist because of the heat. And what happens in the General Motors trucks is the manifold warps a little bit, pulls the head off, and breaks it. But yeah, that's as common as, every heavy exhaust manifold. That's a common problem. I mean, I've done exhaust manifold bolts and manifolds for literally 30 years. But that's why. It's just heat. There's a lot of heat that goes through an exhaust manifold and it warps. Daniel, when I go to car shows, call me a walking dictionary of General Motors and Fords. I used to be a Ford guy. I remember weird stuff, so I can't say anything. Yeah, theory, yeah, they are definitely one-time use for those exhaust manifold bolts. Get new bolts. Because it sucks when they break going back in. Samuel said, I'm the same way with you as bolts. I just separated up bolts and never really had any issue. Yeah, no, I will you do a series? A series on what? Jason, you just know, you don't memorize. Kinda, yeah. I mean, it just clicks with me, and I don't even think about it. 9 times out of 10, when I'm putting bolts back in, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just grabbing the bolt that fits. Crimus, what's up? Brian McFarland is easier. Is it possible for a car company to design an easier way to get to things under the dash, like evaporator, heater core, etc.? Yeah. All about assembly. They don't care about working on the car. They care about putting it together. And my ex-boss is a mechanical engineer, and it's pretty awful when they design a car. They don't think about anything other than how fast and cheap can we build it. And when it comes to what they use, how many pennies can we save on 10,000 of those or 100,000 of those, etc. They don't worry about it, repairability or anything like that when it's designed. They could design anything to be easily accessible. I mean, you figure, undo a couple latches and the dash folds up, stuff like that. They're not doing that. It's just more cost. Rich, if you mill the used manifolds, they are good forever. They don't twist anymore. Probably. I mean, I think I've only milled a handful of exhaust manifolds because it was sending out to a machine shop, and that's not cheap. But I would guess probably not. Samuel, on huge teardowns, my dad and I take bolts that go to 2 things that are drastically different in a container together and label it, but it's just so stuff doesn't get lost. Yeah, I mean, it's and I've done it for almost my entire career. I think the only only job I really paid a lot of attention to was like the old water pumps on when I was first doing repairs, was the old Ford 302 351s, where they had very different, you had to put those bolts in the same place. So normally what I would do when I was doing a water pump is I would unbolt all the bolts, pull the water pump with all the bolts on it, put it on my cart, clean up the gaskets, and then swap over and use the old water pump as a template. But that was when I was like very early on getting in started. So the Hemi guy back in the 80s, older guy I worked with, used to heat broken bolt, cut a piece of toilet bowl ring, let the bolt suck it in, and then let it totally cool down, take the broken out without any issue. Yeah, I mean, people use the wax trick, the same kind of thing. I mean, I've always used the, get it red hot and then douse it with PV Blaster, and it usually comes out. Same wicking action. They've done tests where, it'll like creep in and all that. It doesn't. But when you do a massive heat change, you keep soaking it till it cool down. It'll suck it in. We do Buff Kid. Will you do a series on how to diagnose electrical issues? I don't have access at my house to broken cars, and I can't film anywhere but here, so doubtful. There's lots of good diagnostic channels out there. Erico, L1, Practical Mechanic. He does a lot of cool stuff. Of course, Mario. But yeah, I don't have broken cars at my house that I can film. ISO, would you own a 3 Series manual BMW? I'm talking around 2010 or so. I'm a tech, but lazy on my cars. I favor reliability over anything else. A 2010 V 6-cylinder is a really fun car to drive. I would, but low maintenance is not a BMW. It is not low maintenance. They're depending on how it was serviced. Oil leaks are extremely common. The oil filter adapter gasket's going to leak. Valve covers are going to need to be replaced. Oil pan's going to need to be replaced. Control arm bushings fail. Differential bushings fail. They're a maintenance heavy vehicle. Rich Thumb, in the warranty world, bolts are free. Replace them all. Yeah, that's actually hilariously funny because like I forget who I was talking to, but they were talking about like everybody had for warranty, when they have like a common job, and it was like, oh yeah, you get, a tube RTV, you get this, you get these bolts, you get this, and it was like, unless you had to put them back to send them back for warranty, you just wound up with a bunch of extra stuff. Cookster, do you plan on? I've talked about this. I'm back to work. I'm not filming in the shop ever again, unless I own it. I'm not putting myself into a situation where I rely on where I work to film. So that's why the set here. I'm keeping that stuff very private. Because I don't need some of the shop owner trolls that I've pissed off calling and getting me in trouble, if you know what I mean. So not doing anything in the shop at all. Uh, Brian, what's the worst vehicle to do a battery replacement on? There's an Infinity where um, the secondary battery is under the passenger side floorboard. That sucks. You have to take out. I'm trying to remember what you had. It was funny because it wasn't even my car, but you have to take out like a fuse box or something. But it's under the passenger side floorboard. That one sucks. PT Cruisers, Sebrings, where the battery's in the front thing, that kind of sucks. I think one of the worst is probably just in general pain in the butt would be a late model Jeep Grand Cherokee with a non-adjustable electronic seat. So it's the manual seat that just goes back and forward, and trying to get an AGM battery out of them suckers sucks. They're heavy. You can't hold the handle, so you got to go in there and grab it. Your fingers get pinched. That's probably one of the worst ones I've had to deal with. If it's got the electronic seat that rises up, they're no problem. But if it's got the manual seat, they suck. That's the one I'm thinking of anyway. Learning 66, how many times in your career have you burned out to where you desire a different career or avenue in this career? Twice. First time is when I went to work for Motorvac Technologies as a regional sales manager. Spent 2 years there, went to work for Challenger Lifts as a regional sales manager, and wound up back in automotive. So last time was when I got fired. So that one didn't get rid of me though. I mean, burnout is common with every career. I mean, it just is. You go through cycles where it's not satisfying. It's just monotonous. In the automotive industry, you're dealing with the same external problems in a shop environment that you've always dealt with, and they just can rub you the wrong way. The cars can be the same. The cars can be kicking your butt. Every career, I don't care what it is, you will get burnt out several times in your life. Several people will just straight up change careers because of that. Samuel, surge tanks on the top of radiator Volvo semis are slightly different lengths, and if you're not careful, you can crack them in the radiator. That's about the only bolts I put in some kind of order. Yeah. Charlie Magoo, your favorite Dorman makes exhaust manifolds, no wires attached. Yes, and I've had several where they didn't line up. No threads where there should be threads to put in a stud or a bolt. Literally didn't match up to the flange. Usually when they fit, they work. That's all I'm going to say on that. Their catifolds can be questionable. Daniel, what do you think about aftermarket heated washer fluid kits? Don't. There was a reason that was removed from Silverados. It's a bad idea, especially when you use a methanol high solvent that heats it. Recommend don't. Just use the high solvent content, negative 40 degree stuff that you can get from Napa. instead of trying to heat it. That's what I do. Because I had my Duramax had the heated washer tank, and recall came out, and I read the recall, and it was like, unplug it. Oh, I'm not wasting my time to go to the dealership to do that. Yoink. Dodge Journey. Yeah, those suck. Daniel, the Travers, the batteries under the passenger seat. I mean, in the passenger. GM's done that for years. Battle Circuit Garage. What's going on? I hear German cars in Germany are better than U.S. versions. The diesel ones especially, they don't sell those here in the U.S. No, they're Toyotas and Chevrolets over there. They're just what everybody drives. So, and you have to remember something. The United States is a very different country than Europe. I've been to Europe. I've driven cars in Europe. In Scotland and England. You don't drive like you do here in the U.S. One, they're tiny comparatively, and fuel's expensive. A lot of times you take mass transit, so they don't put the miles on them we do. Like, you tell somebody over there that you've got 250,000 miles on your car, they're like, where the hell did you drive? The moon? So it's a very different situation over there. Cookster, will your tool and toolbox videos continue? No. No, I'm not shooting at the shop unless I'm invited somewhere to go do a toolbox tour. I'm not doing anything internal anymore. Just too many problems cropped up because of having to rely on a situation like where I used to work. I should have left that shop a long time ago and didn't because of the channel. And that was not the only reason. Trust me. I mean, I'm not blaming y'all for me staying at a crappy place to work. It just steadily got worse and worse, but it was one of the factors that kept me there. It's familiarity. You knew the problems. But yeah, I'm not literally, my cameras are staying in this room. They're not going anywhere else. Charles, in the automotive field, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have enough diagnostic skills, tools, knowledge, and computer skills that your fingerprints, you should try and go out on your own. But don't do it unless you have a good customer base. Yeah, pretty much. Opening a shop is extremely expensive. Mobile diagnostics, mobile programming can be good, but again, you have to have a good customer base. And I've talked about it before on stream. Is in Atlanta, it is extremely saturated. I've got friends of mine that do it, and they're literally fighting for the same people. So, learning, thanks for sharing the experience. No problem. Is there any good Napa brands? I'm assuming you're asking, Daniel. Napa has quality levels. I'm not a big fan of Napa. I generally prefer electronics. I go OEM. I'm sorry. Most of their a lot of their stuff, electronic wise, is rebranded Standard Motor Products, Dorman, etc. So I don't like them that much for that. Brakes, my wife's car has Akubona brakes from Napa. So that's I'd go to brands that are good, that are not rebranded Napa stuff. Napa doesn't make parts. Everything is there. They give tool trucks crap. Everything at a parts store is rebranded. Napa don't make brake rotors. But yeah. Rich Thumb, you ever thought about doing a teaching video for new techs, like wired diagram, electrical symbols? Would anyone care? I don't know. I've never tried to do that kind of content. When I did the scope stuff, they were pretty underperforming videos. So it would be hard for me to try to high effort, I mean, I'm going to be honest. That'd be a high effort video, probably for a very low return, would be my honest expectation. But then again, I did a video on dealing with panel clip tools, and it was literally I was just, okay, I'll do the not a hard video to produce, and I've got 100,000 views on that video. So, it's like, you never know what's going to work, but it would be probably not do well. That would be my guess. Sergio, what's going on? We got a Milwaukee rep coming to our shop for our lunch tomorrow. Hope he has an insider ratchet to fondle. You can hope. Easy E, what car brand do you recommend to family or friends buying a new car? I talk to them. I don't recommend brands specifically. I talk about their needs, their wants, what they like. I push them away from, if their expectations are they're moving from a Lexus to, wanting to, like, forget who I was talking to. So one of my wife's things, but she was wanting to go from a Lexus to a BMW. And I was, my wife nicknamed her Cherry Bomb. But anyway, she was wanting to go from a Lexus to a BMW. And severely persuaded her away from that simply because BMW, going from a, relatively low maintenance vehicle to a very high maintenance vehicle was not a good idea for her. I don't really have any go-to brands, simply because I think most companies, as long as you take care of your car, oil changes, maintenance, etc., they're going to do pretty well. I mean, there's obvious exceptions. Would not recommend Stellantis, Chrysler products to anybody. I would not recommend EcoBoosts, from Ford. Ford Tech Make You Loco can keep telling me I'm wrong, but no. The Cruises with the 1.8s, the 1.4s, none of those. But yeah, that's mostly what I do. As I talk to them and kind of analyze what their needs are and kind of point them in a good direction, and then ultimately tell them to buy the car that they like. Because, I get, people talking about me driving a, GMC Sierra, commuting in that truck. And I was like, I spend a lot of time in that truck. I want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy my experience. If I didn't care about that experience, I'd go buy a commuter car, little bitty thing that I could care less about, and drive that. But I want to be comfortable while I'm spending hours in my vehicle commuting. Daniel, what was the highest mileage vehicle you've ever seen when you were a mechanic? I've seen the one I will always point out. 500,000-mile Astro minivan with the original engine. Did not have the original fuel pump or the second original fuel pump or the third or the fourth or the original transmission, but it had the original 4.3. It actually still had the original Spider injector system in it, but it had 500,000 miles on it. Learning 66, bringing some new tools home for review, although I'm a cordless DeWalt guy. Seen 460,000 mile 15-passenger Chevy van. Learning, seen 400,000 something in for a recall, was in great shape. I mean, I've seen multiple 300,000 plus vehicles. I think 500,000 was probably the most I've physically seen, and I knew the owner. It was a coworker of mine, and it was when I worked for Motorvac Technologies, and it was his van. But yeah, no, I mean, I've seen a lot of 300 plus thousand. Daniel, TBI is very different from electronic feedback carburetors. Those are simple in comparison. It's usually one or two injectors. So 2 wires, 4 wires, a throttle body sensor or a throttle valve sensor, TPS, and a fuel line. That was about it. All you got to worry about is the shaft bushings on them going bad, which really weren't too bad on those that I remember. The injectors going bad, the fuel line leaking, and TPMS, throttle position sensor. Those went bad a lot. But yeah, they're stupid easy. I mean, they can get the injectors. I don't know how good they are nowadays. Throttle position sensors normally what you got to replace a lot of, and then the injectors will just get worn like any. Mike Nelson, Astro van, 664,000 miles, 4.3. Yep. Go Chevrolet, LS the word. Sergio, my first service truck had almost 300,000 before I left the company in 2019. They still use the truck. Samuel, I work on semis, so different. I've seen 2 trucks over 2 million miles, several over 1 million. Have yet to see one close to over 3 million. With as much as people don't want depth sensors and all the emission stuff, you may see that because they may do a lot more in-frames on them than rather than buy a new truck with all that stuff on them, because that really drives the cost of trucking up. Charles, a lot of mechanics smoke. I recommend you quit smoking. I don't smoke cigarettes. I only smoke cigars. You don't inhale cigarettes. I mean, you don't inhale cigars. You bring the smoke into your mouth. You don't bring them into your lungs. But my Simple Auto said 183,000 mile original transmission. All I've replaced. What's the letters? Driver side. GMLS and 3800 engines run forever. I mean, especially the 3800. The LS needs some help if you don't maintain it, but you know. Adam, every tech needs to go on strike to fix warranty time pay and increase pay for all techs. Let's all strike. There's no UAW auto tech, you know, union or anything like that to organize that. There's gonna be scabs. I mean, there's no way around that. Just not gonna happen. Yeah, Samuel. I've done so many trucks that guys have pulled out of fields and want to rebuild in the last year just to avoid after treatment. Yeah. Daniel, my Silverado has 183,000 with all original transmission. You maintain it and don't do stupid stuff, most of those transmissions will live. You know, I mean, you know, my wife's Trailblazer went 220,000 miles before the 4L60E. The front pump just exploded for some reason. And trust me, we were not gentle to that transmission. Don't touch my Oreos. Any advice on negotiating for a higher flat rate pay for someone with 3 years experience? Shop yourself around. Find out what other shops would be willing to pay you. The easiest way to get more pay at your current shop is to come in there with an offer from another shop. Is the easiest way to get a pay increase. And be willing to leave if they don't increase your pay. The other thing you can do is, you know, document what kind of jobs you're doing and, you know, document that's, you know, really it's above what you're getting. You're worth more than what you're getting paid kind of thing. But yeah, the biggest thing is have, you know, a offer from another shop for more money in your pocket. Is the easiest way to negotiate because you have a lot more power. Because, well, you have more power. And speaking of that subject, now is really a good time for that. We are in an employee market. The market is driven by the lack, you know, that dreaded mechanic shortage. And we are across the board, not just auto repair, but every sector. The employees have a lot more power than they used to. You can literally, you know, there's so many jobs out there for techs. You know, a friend of mine just got a $10 an hour raise. Switching shops, all he did. He got a $10 an hour raise. Simple as that. So that'd be what I would do. 4L60. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's the best way to do it. Because then you have literally all the power. Samuel, the big companies on average used to cycle trucks at 500,000 miles. Now drivers have been telling me the companies are cycling at 300,000. Big trucks are just not going on as long reliability as they used to. No. After treatment is a horrible thing for diesel trucks. It kills fuel mileage. It adds a lot more complexity. It does, you know, all it does is make the liberals feel like they're doing something for the environment, and it doesn't really help anything. You know? Yeah, you're burning up those particulates and treating them with pee. Good for the environment. in case the automotive guys in the audience don't know, DEF is urea. It's purified pee, basically. I'm not being facetious. That's literally what it is. And that's what they get. They fill up, and that's nasty stuff, by the way. It crystallizes. It's just horrible. It's a horrible idea for an automotive or truck to have to spray. Not to mention leak, etc. Yeah, Samuel, it's just stupid. Like I owned a Duramax, and all I had on the Duramax was a particulate filter. And I could literally, which when it went into regen, which all it does on that truck was dump a whole lot more fuel in the engine and superheat the particulate filter to burn off all the carbon that it collected, because that helps emissions. I could literally watch my fuel gauge drop when it was doing a regen. Not counting the freaking paint searing heat it put off after you got off on an exit after a regen. But yeah, I hate that kind of stuff. The last trainee, Samuel says, the last trainee I had didn't believe me DEF is just urine. When he realized I was being serious, we got out from underneath the DEF tank. Yeah. It's that's why I had to explain it, because automotive guys generally don't deal with DEF. I've dealt with it a lot less, but it's still, I've worked on diesel trucks and I've put it in, and it's urea, it's pee. Mike Delson, kills the engine, the lifespan or at 200K or less. Yeah. I mean, the diesel engines. I mean, I go back a long way on diesels, and they would just run forever. You'd crank up a diesel truck in the morning, and it would not shut off all day. Period. You literally would not shut it off. Now, heck, my GMC, you idle for an hour, it will just idling, just sitting there, it'll shut off after a little over an hour. Adam, half the techs at my dealership at Ford in Iowa is hourly. Okay. Mike Nelson suffocates himself. I don't know what that. So talking about the diesels, yes, they will destroy themselves. Yeah, I know it's nuts how bad it is for vehicles, and just keeps getting worse. They just keep adding that kind of stuff on. Stream health. All right, where's Samuel? Yeah, the heat generated by the regen process alone is terrible, no matter if it's a parked regen or not. Regen temperatures at the SCR hover around 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes. I don't know if you remember, but I mean, there were fires caused by diesel trucks just pulling through a field and catching grass on fire because it was in the middle of a regen or at the end of a regen because they just ran so hot. Adam, what the funniest thing I saw this week was a lube tech going $5,000 in debt for a tool cart, but he had hardly any tools. Unfortunately, I've seen worse. I've seen $10,000-$12,000 and they literally couldn't fill up the cheapy Harbor Freight roll cart. Unfortunately, I've seen that. You know, I'm not talking the nice Harbor Freight roll cart with, you know, the big little fat drawer and all the little drawers and the top that doesn't go all the way straight. I'm talking about the crappy little short one with like 3 little crappy drawers and the, you know, like it's just a service cart, not a roll cart. And he bought I think $12,000 toolbox. Played full pop for it, everything, financed his life away, couldn't fill up a roll cart. Insane. Daniel, 2005 to 6 Duramax are going for 20-something, the highest 45,000, depending on condition and miles. Yeah, no, I mean, you should price Cummins. Cummins go for stupid money. Oh, 96 Cummins 5.9, 280,000 miles on it. Oh, I want $40,000 for it. Not even making that up. It's a meme, but I've seen it. Chad, I appreciate that. Samuel, yep, seen several burn down from that. We have had to go through a laundry list before we run a redren to minimize the risk, and we redren with the truck over 20 feet from the shop door. Yeah, no, I've unfortunately had to run manual regens on a couple of vehicles, and you have to do it in a parking lot. Make sure nothing's gonna catch on fire. Charlie, the emission stuff can't be that bad. A stock LLY would get 12 miles per gallon, 16 miles. 16 years later, the same basic engine will crank twice the horsepower and approach 20 miles per gallon. My Duramax would average 22 miles on the highway. So, just saying. It's because of DEF, regen happens a lot less. But it does a lot for the longevity of the engine, and the higher horsepowers don't help the longevity of the engine. Look at all the little itty bitty 4-cylinder twin turbos that can't make 100K without blowing up. Ford, etc. You know, we're pushing so much power out of these engines, and you know, everybody wants to go smaller, more horsepower when it comes to diesels. You're hitting limits of, well, them lasting. I mean, I don't want to work on diesels anymore, but I like diesels. So, anybody got any more questions? Anybody got any questions out there in the world? Because if we ain't got anything else to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and probably end the stream. So let me know in the comments if you got anything you want me to answer or anything like that. Because I ain't got nothing else to talk about. You know. My Cummins would get in the 20s if the road was flat enough. I mean, my Duramax. Gordon, have a good weekend. Yeah, I mean, my Duramax. I was I traveled 5-6 states, and I could get 20-25 miles to the gallon on the highway when I was not in regen. Brian McFarland on computers. Besides iFixit stuff, to use cheap spudger tools or better quality ones. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't own a spudger tool. I use a diagnostic network pocket screwdriver. Is what I use. Yeah. Yeah, San Diego, Sergio, you don't see any flat roads in San Diego. Tell me more in depth about voltage drop. Um, that is a subject I'm not going to be able to get into on a live stream. Oh, let's see if I can find you. See if I can find you a good. Oh, I hate YouTube's new algorithm for search. Here, I'll give you this one. Here, go watch Humble Mechanic on voltage drop. Yeah, I mean that's an in-depth subject to get into in a live stream. Brian McFarland. Yeah, I mean that's what I do. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. So I appreciate you stopping by for the live stream, and as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.